My name is Ian and welcome to Planted. In this video, I want to talk to you about choosing plants for your zone, and in particular, how I overwinter them. Now, any gardener has to grow plants that will survive in their environment, and if you don't know your zone, you need to find out. It's very easy, just type in your zip code and zone, and it'll give you a number. Now, here in coastal Connecticut, we are zone 7. I like to think of it as 6B. The lower number, the colder the environment. So a 6 further north is colder than 7 where we are, and 8 is warmer further south than where we are. But all of these figures are an average. So in a zone 7 winter, you average a zone 7. You might get a few little periods where it's a little bit colder, but not consistently cold as to change the zone. And what I've got behind me is a wonderful way to get plants to grow out of your zone. This is very old-fashioned, but it works. What I have is a big pile of leaves, and you can see how dry they are. Leaves are a fantastic insulator, very, very effective. This pile was put on at about 18 inches, and it's settled to 12 inches. And then with this plastic on top, that keeps the water off. So it's dry, and it's a very thick insulating barrier. What I've got growing underneath is a beautiful plant called hedychium, which is not a zone 7, it's a 9 at best. And another plant called crinum. But this insulation and this keeping the water off means that I get ambient temperature from deep down. I get the soil, which is 3 feet down, is considered to be 50 degrees. But as you come near the surface, that heat dissipates, which is why we get frost. Not so with this protective layer. Now I've got a basement behind me with a furnace in it, and that goes further down. So I've also got that providing heat into this environment where I keep it dry, and it keeps the heat in with the insulation of the leaves. It doesn't look very pretty, but I can tell you that it absolutely works. And here's a few key points. The leaves must be dry. I said that before and I'll say it again. If they're not dry, they will freeze and they will prevent that insulative value. The next thing is that you can't seal it with plastic because you get condensation buildup, and that in turn will then freeze. So this open-sided door up against, in this case, a basement, means that I've got growing in here about 10 plants that have no business coming through the winter here in a zone 7. The hedychium has got beautiful fragrance, and here's a picture of it. It is truly spectacular, beautiful plant. And then the crinum, I've been nurturing this plant for quite a few years now, and I was finally rewarded with flowers. And I look forward to having many, many more of these flowers, hopefully this year. So once you find out your zone, don't feel that you have to be locked into that. If you've got the effort, the interest, and the ability, you can bend the zones to increase your range of plants. Now, I just want to explain a little bit more about the basement that I have and why it is so effective. Now, what we have is, this is the wall of my house. We have the roof line coming down, a little bit of an overhang. So that protects this area. This is my garden, and I have a fence right there, and then we have the road. This overhang prevents water from falling in this area, and that's very important. In my house, the basement continues. This is the first floor, and then in here there's a boiler or a furnace. We've got natural heat coming up in the soil. We've got heat coming from this furnace, which is probably 50 degrees or thereabouts Fahrenheit. And what it means is that this area here has got a heat source to prevent it from freezing. Now, I'm not saying that this is kept at 50 degrees, that's just not true. But with our slanted lid on top and this full of leaves, this area here, I think, is probably at 40 degrees minimum, which is plenty for plants to come through the winter and reliably survive. Very, very important to understand that this can vent. This is not touching the ground, it's not sealed, so we can get air moving in, and we can also get air moving out. And the last thing on this rather remarkable diagram is that this area faces south. So we get lots of sunlight coming in and warming up the bricks that are at the base of the wall. And this is how you bend a zone. This is how you move from being limited in your plant collection to something a bit more choice. Both of these plants are perennials, that is, they die down and they come back next year. And perennials are a wonderful plant to start trying to put these practices into everyday use. I hope this helps. And the final thing to discuss here is the quality of your plants and the quality of your planting and the quality of the soil. Good soil, good plants, good planting, plus insulation, plus this layer on top. And you can really push the zones reliably and have plants that shouldn't be growing in your environment. So knowing your zone is vital. It's the backbone of plant success. But with a little bit of effort, you can push that boundary and grow a wide range of wonderful plants. Bye for now.